with a special edition of Rudy Giuliani's Common Sense. Special because I consider it an emergency. I woke up on the morning of June 22nd, that's Monday morning, this last Monday morning, to news that put me in shock. Murders all over America, violence all over America, American cities in what even the Washington Post, that doesn't really draw the proper conclusions, but at least couldn't escape it, says a weekend of mass murder reflects how American violence goes viral. Well, they're right. It was a weekend of mass murder. I haven't checked historically whether it was the worst weekend of mass murder in the history of our country. It certainly approached numbers, even in individual cities, that were worse than we encountered during a war. The numbers are staggering. And the question is this just spontaneous outbreak of violence that comes from the horrible and unjustified killing of Mr. Floyd, now it's a number of weeks ago? Or is this part of a plan that's been in the making for some time, for which there is historical evidence of, the planning of it, to change our form of government as we know it, to undermine, change, and replace our constitutional form of government with a very different kind of government. No police, common ownership of property, altogether different legal system, packing the court with numerous more Supreme Court justices, complete ignoring of our rights of freedom of religion as happened during the pandemic. Is that what's at stake here? Well, let's look at the numbers first to see how bad it was. I'll give you some quick ones. So in Chicago, which of course has become a killing field, right? Chicago does exceed a war zone in murders. I mean, this happens every weekend now in Chicago, and it's happened for some time. So far, the count is 104 wounded. 104 people wounded in a city in America, the third largest city in America, part of a civilized country. 14 dead, including 4 teenagers, including a 3-year-old in Obama's home city. It was happening when he was president, and he was never even asked about it. And nobody cares about their lives. Don't you see that phoniness? Can't you see it? New York City, my city, the city in which I brought down homicide myself 60%. And then with Mike Bloomberg, 75%. We went from 2,400 as a high down to 300 homicides. Do you understand how many black lives we saved? Really saved. We didn't confine it to the ones that were able to be politically exploited. I didn't politically exploit any of those lives. I just saved them. New York City, my city, that I turned in 3 years from the most dangerous city in America to the safest large city in America. I did it in 3 years, and I did it with 3 different police commissioners. 1 shot every hour on Saturday. 1 shot. 1 person shot every hour. That is a war zone. We're still counting the total numbers for the weekend. And this is following days and days of increases. The increase in murder for this year is like 30%. And the mayor and the police commissioner disbanded the unit that was the most effective in reducing murder and in taking guns out of our city. We don't reduce murder in New York City with gun control. Murderers don't control their guns. We do it with good law enforcement. And it was the anti-crime unit of the police department that did most of it. They have been disbanded. As soon as they're disbanded, we get 20, 30, 40 murders. You need any more proof of how irresponsible that is? How many more people have to die? In Buffalo, a fairly quiet city, 10 people wounded. And I could go on. In Seattle, in the euphemistically described autonomous zone, that's a killing zone. A 19-year-old killed, murdered. There are plenty of reports of what's going on inside that autonomous zone, and it is a corrupt left-wing media phony. This is not kumbaya and singing peace songs. This is ripping people's businesses apart. This is stealing their property. These are sexual crimes that are not brought to justice. And now murders. When is that mayor going to just quit? When is the governor going to go into rehab? And when is the Drug Enforcement Administration going to go in there and take out all the drugs? Because I guarantee you, you take all the drugs out of that Seattle killing zone and they'll all go wherever you put the drugs. Stop it. Stop romanticizing these criminals. Minnesota, Minneapolis, the poor city that has done away with the police. 1 dead, 11 injured. People going into a restaurant, shot down. No police. You don't need police in Minneapolis. 79% of the victims of murder in Minneapolis are black Americans. 79% of the suspects that black Americans report to the police are black Americans. Who cares about their lives? Not the people who want to disband the police. North Carolina, 2 dead, 7 wounded. Syracuse, like Buffalo, home of University of Syracuse, 9 shot. Right near New York City, Jersey City, 1 dead, 4 injured. Indianapolis, 1 dead, 11 wounded. I go on and on and on. I think the total so far, this was earlier today, was something like this. 100 Americans wounded, 24 killed over this weekend of murder, this weekend of violence, this weekend of revolution, because what they are doing fits right into their playbook, fits right into what they were writing 2, 3, 4, and 5 years ago about how they were going to fundamentally destroy our government. They want to do away with our police. They want to do away with our courts. They want to do away with the way we elect our public officials. They want to replace our entire system of civil rights, including our right to property. They want to take it away from us and hand it out to everyone equally. Like heck, it's going to be equally. You know who's going to get most of the property. They want to substitute socialism for our system of government without any regard for the fact that we've had socialism for 100 years in 25 different countries, all of whom have gone bankrupt. Are they stupid? Are they historically ignorant? Or do they just want power? I'm talking about Black Lives Matter. I'm talking about Antifa. I'm talking about the Communist Party. I'm talking about the Democrat socialists who support them. And I'm talking about those people you see on television who beat cops over the head, kick people in the face, kill people. This is no longer and stopped being a peaceful protest a long, long time ago. This stopped being about Mr. Floyd the first time they burned a building, the first time they threw a rock, and the first time they killed a person. There's an agenda here. And it's about time we wake up to it and not submit to the propaganda of the left wing that wants to make us feel like we're racist for saying what I'm saying. In fact, they are racist. When I became mayor of this city, I had a choice. I could keep my police in the nice, safe, white neighborhoods. They'd have loved it. I only got 5 or 6% of the black vote. Wouldn't have changed my chances of being reelected. I took my police out of the white areas and I put them in the black areas. Not because I wanted to pick on black people, but because I love black people as much as I love white people. And I swore to protect them as much as I swore to protect white people. In fact, I didn't swear to protect white people or black people or Hispanic people. I swore to protect people. And as a result of being fair and even-handed, I saved thousands and thousands of black lives. And I'm proud of it. And I think had I failed to do it, I'd have been a racist. And when Black Lives Matter takes the Floyd case, a legitimate case of police misconduct and crime, and then tries to equate it with the Brooks case, which is a very, very close case that appears to be a justified police shooting of a man who attacked them and attempted to shoot them with a taser and resisted arrest and had a record as long as your arm and was fleeing because he didn't want to go back to jail for parole violation. What are you missing here? These two things are different. When you try to create them, you're not seeking truth. This is the worst kind of propaganda, to incite violence, to incite and bring about the numbers I showed you. They don't care about those people that die. They're dying for the movement. You don't know what happens to the minds of these radicals. They justify anything for the cause. And what's the cause? To bring us a system of economics that has rendered everyone into poverty that's ever practiced it? To put them in charge? Wake up, America. Wake up. Get yourself beyond the tyranny of the New York Times and the Washington Post, NBC, ABC, and all the rest of them. Start reading for yourself. Go back and read the designs of Antifa and the Black Lives Matter. Go back and look at who funded the election of some of these district attorneys and mayors who can't seem to enforce the law. Take a look at the fact that almost all of this is happening in progressive democratic cities with mayors that are socialists or verge on socialism, all Democrat. And then say to yourself, we got to fight back. We can't let them take this away from us. That doesn't mean we do anything violent. We don't need violence and we don't believe in violence. We believe in law. We believe in courts. We believe in people being arrested and tried. We don't believe in people being let out of prison until they finish their sentences. We don't believe in putting a rapist out and have the person rape again, as Mayor de Blasio did. We believe in common sense. And we've got to restore it to this country because they're trying to take what we know as America away from us. They're probably not going to succeed in taking it away from me. I'm too old. But I don't want to let them take it away from my son and my daughter and their children. I don't think you want that for your children either. I think we're better off with an America designed pretty much like our great but flawed founding fathers designed for us. It's worked pretty well for us. It's created the greatest nation in the history of the world. It's created the most powerful. And it's created the country that's brought the most people out of poverty than any country in the history of the world. You want to compare us to Russia? You want to go look at the 700 million people in China who are starving? Want to go look at Venezuela? That's what they want to look at. So please, realize this is not Republican, it's not Democrat, it's not liberal conservative. Those of us who want to preserve America as we know it, including improving it. I want to reduce the police brutality as much as the next person, more. And I think I know how to do it. But I'm not going to do that by sacrificing the lives of hundreds of black people, by not having policing. I'm not going to do it by subscribing to the notion that all policemen are racist, or they're not. Are there some few? Yes. Do they need to be rooted out? Yes. Do we need better procedures to do it? Yes. But we can do that without destroying our police departments and killing the people that will be killed if that protection is taken away. We can do it without redistributing property. We can do it the way America has always done it, as part of a common sense, democratic, legal process. So we're going to go into this in much greater detail in other podcasts and on my radio show on WABCradio.com. So please watch, listen, and inform yourself, because I'm doing this because we are living in a tyranny of information being deprived from the mass media and now by the social networks. Who knows? They may take this off, and I'll try to mail it to you. This is what used to go on in communist governments. This should not be going on in the America that we grew up in, or the America that we want to preserve for our children. Please stand with us on this. It is not about politics. It's about freedom. Thank you.